right, welcome to another edition of Ask Octopus, where we take questions that we hear from customers that we talk to either through email or Slack or Twitter, and then we answer them in this video and share it with everyone. So I'm Ryan Russo, and as usual, Bob and Derek are with me today to talk about some of your questions.
Hello.
Hey, guys.
Hey. All right. So guys, I got a good one for you today because this is like one of my other favorite tools within Octopus. I know you're expecting me to say tenants here, but I may use this one more than tenants. And it's the right highlight script commandlet that we have provided through Octopus. Have you used, I know I've probably like talked your ear off about it, but do you use it frequently when you're doing things with Octopus?
I just found out about it probably a couple months ago. I didn't know about it beforehand. And once I saw it, I've been abusing it more than I should.
No, I've barely used it in the past.
Oh, just me then. Okay, well, good. I'm going to show you something amazing. So I actually got this question from a customer last week. I was like, this is going directly to Ask Octopus because it's like I said, it's one of my favorites. And it's how can I make a link with right highlight? So I guess what I should do first before answering the link portion is just talk about right highlight. If I go, so I just have a simple project here. And what you'll find is when I set up simple projects that have things like deploy database and deploy a web app, for the most part, unless it's the thing where I'm actually demoing like database deployments or web deployments, if I just need a process, almost always these are script steps that just have right highlight with some text.
Okay.
So right highlight is one of the custom kind of write commands that we provide. And whatever you write there will show up in line in the task log as you're viewing it. And we have a couple other ones. So you can use the standard write verbose, write host, write output that you expect with PowerShell. We also provide write highlight and write wait. So wait are things like, I'm about to do a long running task. Let me, just put it in the logs that we're about to wait for something. And we use that internally for things like acquiring locks on either the tentacles or other parts of the process. And then we have a few others like write warning and write error, and that will actually change the format and the color of the messages that you see in the task logs. So if I were to jump into like this task log, I've only got write highlight in these, but you can see after it loads. So this is what the highlight portion is. So whatever that text was that you put in there will show up in line. So you don't have to click down and dig through 100 lines, 1,000 lines of deployment logs to see that important information.
Yeah, that's how I've been using it as well. Is so for like some database deployments, if it's making a decision, so whether or not something gets auto approved or not, I'll use write highlight and say this is auto approved for this reason, or if it wasn't auto approved, this has not been auto approved for these other reasons, and so then you can just see it very clearly as to why it happens. Instead of, like you said, instead of digging into the logs and trying to figure all that stuff out.
Yeah, definitely. You want to use it to pull that important information that you would look for a lot and pull it to the top level. You want to be careful not to overload your highlights and basically you don't want, 30 lines of highlights showing up on the screen because that may be too much. And now you're just hiding other parts of important information. But
you've got an overload then. But yeah, I can definitely see how that would become an issue though.
Yeah, and then you would need to write highlight more, and we just don't have that. So.
Super bold.
Super bold.
Really write highlight.
So what you'll notice is, and you probably already noticed, is this click here with the icon next to it. So deploy my web app. And this is a case that I've used this a lot for, especially when it comes to infrastructure as code. I use CloudFormation. I use Azure templates to spin up some new infrastructure and deploy a website to it. And that's usually using, the provided DNS for those systems, which is going to be a different URL, a different IP address, whatever. It's going to be a different link every time. Unless I was to go in and configure it otherwise, but I usually don't. I just let it use like whatever the default is. So I don't want to, and then I don't want to go hunting through the task logs to find, okay, well, what am I supposed to do? Like what URL am I supposed to use to hit this website this time? I end up using this a lot to put those DNS information here, those links, those URLs, and then making the links that I can just click on and it will open the website in a new tab.
That's super useful. You know, it's funny, where I think that would be exactly like that, where you just build that in. That, I think, would be really useful for like even non-technical staff, people who maybe have like a project manager, you know, or a tester. So they go in, they don't have to know any of the URL details. That's super. Ryan, thank you very much for showing me that. I'm going to use that.
Yeah. And infrastructure as code is like a pretty good use case for it, but it could just be for all of your static internal things. I'm deploying to UAT system number 5. Like, well, what's the URL for that? Is it uat5.mycompany.com? Is it some internal address? It doesn't matter. You can make it a variable that's scoped to your environments, that you can just put your environment in that link. You could also just link to internal things. So like if you had maybe the GitHub issue or the TeamCity build number or something like that populated in your release, you could use that link to be able to make a reference back to it. So how did I do this is the better question. If we go in and look at the second one, and you'll see it's just another right highlight, but we use markdown syntax. So it's very easy to come in and just say, you know, open square bracket, whatever you want this text to be. And then after you close your square bracket, open paren and the actual URL. And you can put variables in there. This can be all dynamic. I've got it hard coded to our website because this is an example and I don't have an actual website deploying, but it could be your new DNS name. That text can be the new DNS name. I could just make this simply, you know, Octopus deploy site. And then I don't need the rest of the text. And if I was to save that and create a new release, it'll go through and that'll be the name of it. So yeah, very simple, but I think it's just maybe not something that everyone knows about. Like I said, I know about it because I use it a lot. And then it came up with a question. One of my customers that I talked to a lot had right highlight. They were using right highlight and they were like, hey, can we make this a link? I'm like, yes, you can. Let me show you how. So yeah, you can see.
I really like how it adds that little arrow next to it. So you can see, because I mean, you can tell it's blue text. It's a slightly different shade of blue text, but unless you, it's also a colorblind test. So.
Yeah, it is. It is. If that link or if that button wasn't there, it'd be a little bit harder to tell that it is a link. Yeah. So that is nice to get that visual information that it is. And then if you don't see that, you know that maybe you've malformed your markdown implementation or your markdown syntax or something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. There was a follow-up question, which is, can you use a mail to link? Which I've tested it and it doesn't work right now. And I don't know if that's, I haven't dug in enough yet to see if that's a markdown specification doesn't work with mail to. I'd be surprised if that's the case, or if maybe it's like, because I know we don't have full markdown support for these right highlights. We've kind of picked and chosen which ones we wanted to work with. So it may just be we're looking specifically for URLs and not mail tos. So maybe that's a improvement we could make, but that was a second part of the question after the link came back.
I always wondered why your database is deployed so quickly, Ryan.
Oh man, that's well, my secret is out now. Cool. And that's it. Like I said, pretty quick one this week, but a very, very useful one, especially if you do want to have those links embedded in your deployment task. If you do have infrastructure as code where you're generating maybe new test systems that don't always have the same URLs, really handy to get back to those easily. Right highlight, like as I mentioned, we've got those other ones that you may want to check out that you may not have known about, like right wait or right error, things that you can implement into your deployments. So that is it for me. So again, if you have an interesting question, feel free to go to our website to post one. They'll get to us. You can email us directly at support@octopus.com or join us on Slack and, we'll chat with you. And if you have questions, we can answer them there for you. And then also record them and share them for everybody else to use. So until next time, thanks again. Thanks for watching.
Bye, everybody.
Bye, guys.